On April 7th, Hoopeston voters will be asked to consider approving a 1% sales tax aimed at generating revenue to address various issues around the city. The tax proposal has divided city residents. Some favor the improvements it could fund, while others dismiss the need for yet another tax on city residents. The Chronicle asked Mayor Bill Crusinberry and Alderman Bill Goodwine to present both sides of the issue. Each was given 7 minutes to present their argument, in favor or opposed to the tax.
Hello, and thank you for taking the time to hear the reasons I support the sales tax increase. First of all, I'd like to introduce myself in case there are some who do not know me. I'm Bill Crusinberry. I'm the mayor of Hoopeston. I'm a life resident of the Hoopeston area. I've graduated from Hoopeston High School and Danville Junior College. I've been involved in city government for over 10 years, first elected to the city council in 2005 and then elected mayor in 2009 and 2013. I am making this presentation to better inform you as why there are those of us who feel we need additional revenue to fund the city initiatives that for years have been pushed to the wayside due to lack of funding to tackle these projects. To start, I'd like to present a brief history of what has brought us here today. Over a decade ago, a group of concerned citizens started meeting on a weekly basis. Although this group had no official status or powers, it was endorsed by the City Council and initially had 2 representatives of city government attending the meetings. Their purpose was whatever they could do to have a positive impact on the quality of life, employment, or opportunities in the city of Hoopeston. This group came to be known as the Economic Development Committee. The committee has faithfully continued to meet nearly every week for over a decade. Through the years, this committee has had several success stories. 2 of the most notable would be their involvement in bringing Danville Area Community College facility to Hoopeston, and when the original developer for the new McDonald's backed out on the project at the last minute, the committee put together the McDonald's owners, the corporate officials, and a developer, and the project came to be. But over a decade of meeting, the committee felt the need for direction or a plan of action. They approached the City Council with these needs, and the Council responded by contracting the Champaign County Regional Planning Commission to facilitate the creation of a strategic plan for the city. Next, public meetings were held, and through the input of residents, the critical areas of concern in the city were identified. From these meetings, the Hoopeston Community Alliance was formed, and 8 subcommittees were created to address the items that submitted by the residents of Hoopeston. These committees are community image, business development and retention, infrastructure, education, services, amenities, housing, and governance. As the Hoopeston Community Alliance subcommittee started meeting and studying these areas of concern submitted by the residents, one thing was evident. The majority of the things that Hoopeston residents wanted to see happen came with a price tag, and it usually wasn't a cheap one. And that is a brief history of what has brought us here today. The question put to it today is, do we create a new revenue source to fund these initiatives sought by the residents of Hoopeston? Now is the time, with the passing of this small tax increase, we can start addressing some of the items that the residents of Hoopeston have deemed to have been ignored for too long. We have looked at several funding sources, and the increase in the sales tax would have the least impact on residents, as it would share the cost with non-residents who shop, dine, or just pass through town and make a purchase as they do. Also, the purchase of food to be prepared at home, medicines, and new cars will not be impacted by this increase. Presently, over $2 million budget, approximately $480,000 is generated through the collection of sales tax. This amounts to $40,000 per month, and that if it was divided equally among 2,200 households in Hoopeston, it would amount to a little over $18 a month going to the city. But as we know, not all purchases are done by city residents, and not everybody has the same spending habits. So some spend more, some spend less. In doing research of comparable communities that have assessed additional sales tax, the data tends to show that these communities, because of the restricted items that do not pay the sales tax, collect about 40 to 60% more in additional sales tax with the increase. We anticipate that this tax might generate $20,000 to $25,000 per month in additional revenue. This could amount to as little as $1 or $2 a month for those on restricted incomes. Many have asked, just where will this additional revenue is going to be spent? We can only make suggestions to the City Council, but I will be introducing a resolution to the Council structured to the following format. After listening to much additional input from residents since this subject has been publicly debated, a formula has been devised as to how we would divide this revenue to affect more segments of the city. The money would be deposited into restricted reserves accounts, which can only be used for the designated items. We would be suggesting 20% of the tax be to the water mains, shut-off valves, and fire hydrants. There's over 300 fire hydrants in the city of Hoopeston, and over 100 of them are outdated, and the fire department has to use an adapter hose to hook up because the new trucks do not connect to them. We would be suggesting 20% to flooding and storm sewers, starting in the northeast section of town. Many studies have been done, but it's always been pushed to the wayside because of the price tag. We would also suggest 25% to the parks, especially the roads in McFerrin Park, the Civic Center, and the bathhouse at the pool, and then to improvements to North Side and Union Park. We would suggest 20% to the cemetery, beginning with the repaving of the remainder of the roads. And finally, we would allocate the remainder to the improvement of the community image, consisting of replacing curbs, sidewalks, and the remediation of abandoned properties. The question is before us, do we want to turn our backs on these many things that for years have been neglected because the money is not there? Or do we make the tough decision and provide the revenue that will allow us to start converting Hoopeston into the city that we will be proud to pass along to the next generation? Hopefully, someday we can look back and say, we left the city of Hoopeston a better place to live than what was passed along to us.
Hi, my name is Bill Goodwine. The Chronicle has invited me, as City Finance Chairman, to share with you why I think the proposed Hoopeston sales tax is both needless and harmful. Without a sales tax, Hoopeston has progressed. In so many ways, we have become the envy of the surrounding communities. Just look at the new businesses and services that have come to town in recent years. The new CVS store, the brand new, just next to that, the brand new Family Healthcare of Hoopeston, a new McDonald's, Autumn Fields Assisted Living, Heritage Health Nursing Home, La Casa de Sal Mexican Restaurant, Danville Area Community College Hoopeston Campus, the newly renovated IGA. I can only say, wow, this list is impressive. The list was accomplished not by government, but by individuals and organizations who believe in Hoopeston. And while this was going on, the city has done its share. In just the last 2 years, we have upgraded McFerrin Park with a $200,000 splash park. We purchased a used, but new to us, aerial fire truck for $100,000. We've upgraded the cemetery for roads for nearly $50,000. Donated $25,000 toward the Christmas lights project. Budgeted $20,000 for a housing study. Budgeted $25,000 to tear down dilapidated buildings. All paid in cash, all without a sales tax. All done within a balanced budget and growing cash reserves to boot. Obviously, we do not need more money from a sales tax. Now let me turn to why I think a sales taxes are actually harmful. First, a sales tax takes money from citizens. Government can have more money to spend only if we citizens have less money to spend. We both cannot spend the same dollar. There are many people who need every dollar they have just for essentials. A sales tax would certainly be harmful to them. Second, more money means more waste. Fiscal discipline does not come naturally to governments. My dad taught me that good fiscal discipline is saying or instead of and. We can do this or that, but not this and that. Give your government only the money it needs, not what it wants. Force your government to say no or instead of and. What your government wants and what your government needs are two different things. Force your government to make choices. Force your government to say no to some things. We all think we need things, then later discovered we only wanted them. I remember a George Foreman grill I absolutely had to have. I have used it twice in 6 years. Like that George Foreman grill, wants masquerade as needs to the city council at budget time. The council's job is to prioritize and separate needs from wants. In the past 20 years, Hoopeston has been forced to cut many projects from the budget. I can think of nothing that has permanently been cut that today we wish we had done. The discipline required to make choices at budget time has prevented a lot of waste. Having to make choices is not a bad thing. It is a good thing. 2 other quick points. Those wanting a sales tax say a sales tax is good because a sales tax is paid in part by non-residents as well as residents. But that is a red herring. Sales tax money from non-residents is significant only if lots of people come to Hoopeston to shop. We would have to be what economists call a shopping destination. Hoopeston is not a shopping destination. We residents would basically have to pay all of the sales tax. Second quick point, Governor Rauner has listed reducing the local share of state income tax as one idea to help balance the state budget. If this happened, and it probably won't, it will reduce some of the revenue for every town and city in Illinois. Many towns are in a panic about this. Those in a panic have lots of debt and no reserves. Fortunately, Hoopeston has practically no debt and excellent reserves. Unlike so many other towns, we need not panic. Let's not be stampeded. Let's just wait, see what happens, and then, only if necessary, act in a deliberate, calm, appropriate, and common sense way. If money is not the answer to our problems, what is the answer? We need to develop a responsible citizenry. Without a responsible citizenry, any town is doomed. There are many ways to develop a responsible citizenry, but that is an entire topic for later. Suffice to say, we can become what we wish only if each of us demands excellence, first of ourselves, and then excellence from others. You've heard the expression, if not us, who? If not now, when? Well, it is us, and it is now. So let's start being better citizens right now, today. Sign up for the citywide spring spruce up on March 28th. In summary, vote against another unnecessary tax. Vote against more money for government and less money for people. Vote against waste. Vote against this sales tax. Instead, work for citizen excellence. Thank you for listening.
7th,